All right, good to have you here, back by popular demand, the Soup Nazi, and how to use offensive selling techniques, things we've always wanted to use, wanted to learn. How to sell like the Soup Nazi, we'll be talking about that based on our listener email. Get ready to take some notes as we dive into those offensive selling techniques. Let's get into it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Good to have you here. Please tell your family, friends, and enemies about the podcast. Hit like, subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. So before we get into those offensive selling techniques, let's get into the Persuasion this week, Ninja. Now, as you know, we either go over a big blunder or a ninja. Woo, this is off the charts good. You have to decide if this is something you can use or if it crosses the line a little bit. I thought it was pretty good and it did work, very persuasive. Have a good friend like me, loves boating and wants to get this big old fishing boat, lives on the water, and loves deep sea fishing and wants a boat. Okay, well, I don't know if you see the price tags on these bad boys, but they're pretty high. And having a hard time convincing his wife, this is good, this is a boat, this is a good investment, bring fish home, save money, I'll be a better husband, all the things there. And it's still a lot of resistance. Never really got the for sure yes, and I don't think she really knew what these boats cost. Anyway, he bought it, found a good deal, so he thought. Really concerned about talking about that final price tag, but before he brought it home, guess what he named the boat? After his wife. That was the name of the boat. I thought it was awesome. And he's convinced this day that that's why he was allowed to keep it. And the fallout wasn't as severe as he thought. So, hey, anytime you could give a boost to that self-esteem, add a little praise, a little something there, it opens the doors to persuasion and influence. And also know, we've talked about this, that if you offend, have a bigger fishing story, forget to praise, forget to compliment, it shuts the doors to persuasion and influence. So this is podcast 504, and you know the drill. Let's get into that geeky, weekly, scholarly article. This is for my negotiators out there, then we'll get into offensive selling. This comes from PON, that's Harvard University's negotiation program, which I have visited and very impressed. They do a lot of research. This one's on the anchoring effect and how it can impact your negotiation. If you're not familiar with the anchoring effect, go back to the archives at maximizeyourinfluence.com, and we talk about anchoring. So let's get into this anchoring effect. And of course, you can find the link to this article under podcast 504 at maximizeyourinfluence.com or in the email you received. So the anchoring effect is a cognitive bias that describes a common human tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information. So whatever that first offer is, that's the anchor or the starting point of the negotiation, which, statistically speaking, let me add what I've read on the side, it gives you better terms. So anchoring occurs when individuals use an initial piece of information to make subsequent judgments. So once the anchor's set, you've adjusted their perceptions, and the other judgments they make are all based on this anchor or the bias they have when their brain interprets that first number or the first information they get. An example they give is the initial price offered for a used car. That sets the standard, the anchor, or the starting point for the rest of the negotiation. In fact, I've done this exercise at my negotiation boot camps where we have them sell a used car, and the studies before it and the numbers I've collected from this exercise, every time whoever goes first and starts as high or as low as they can, that dictates the terms they get. So if the salesperson starts really high, they usually sell the car for a higher price. If an offer's made really low, usually the buyer gets a better price. So negotiation scholars Deborah Zedek and Alice Delmonter, they're at DePaul University, they found when negotiators set specific, challenging goals that they consistently outperform those who set lower or vague goals. And I'll add that they're more prepared. They know exactly what they want. One study found that negotiators who focused on high goals achieved better outcomes than their peers who did not focus on high goals, right? We talked about that. So they go in and say to maximize your outcome, focus on ambitious goals. Let me add, don't get into the insult zone. You want to make sure that you can prove your number, that it doesn't sound like it's coming out of the air. Especially you don't want to use round numbers. $100,000. Well, that might be good, that might be true, but it just sounds like you didn't do your research because odd numbers are always more persuasive than even numbers. An example he gave was of Ed Rendell. He was the mayor of Philadelphia a while back, and they found that the city workers there in Philadelphia were the most highly compensated employees in the country. And the city had a deficit of $250 million. So the New York Times reported, before the negotiations even started, that the Mayor Rendell, daily told the public, we have to balance the budget, where you could go through a strike. That's not a big deal. Adjusting their perceptions. He went first, said, look, doesn't matter, they can strike. Took away the sting, and basically froze their wages for 33 months. The workers did go on strike, but that was only for like 16 hours. And over the next 4 years, the contract saved the city $374 million. So what I'm saying is it's okay to go first. Set the anchor. I've seen plenty of studies that show this works. So when you're in a negotiation, let them know your bottom line, your highest price, your lowest acceptable bid. Start the negotiations. Let the game begin. I mean, don't share too much. And, do your research. Be prepared. You've heard me say it before, and it's okay to go first. When you're the expert, you've done your research, go first, set the anchor. Now, if you're clueless, you have no idea where they're at or what to offer, you don't want to go first. But hey, going first not only sets the anchor, but builds trust and reciprocity. Don't get in the insult zone by just making up some weird, strange number. You got to let them know where you got it. It's the standard, the formula. Here are the comparables, whatever it is. Go first, go for it, build the trust, set the anchor, and win bigger in your negotiations. Which brings us to a listener email.
Oh, boy!
By the way, you get free gold. InfluenceUniversity.com when we use your email or suggestion or anything on the podcast. Find out more at MaximizeYourInfluence.com. This is from Pete from New Jersey, United States. He said, Kurt, a few weeks ago you went over the soup Nazi. I was fascinated by this and watched the show. I feel like I'm usually too nice. How can I use these offensive techniques to sell? It really intrigues me. What say you? All right. So let's listen to the extended audio clip taken from the show. I'll have a little commentary here. I mean, Seinfeld's been called one of the most iconic television sitcoms of all time. One of my all-time faves. This is the opening to this scene where George, Elaine, and Seinfeld are talking about how good this soup is. They're like, he's called the soup Nazi. He's a little temperamental, and there's consequences if you don't order right. Elaine's not believing it. They actually even go over the procedure. Check it out.
In the mood for a cheeseburger.
No, we gotta go to the soup place.
What soup place?
There's a soup stand. Kramer's been going there.
He's always raving. I finally got a chance to go there the other day, and I tell you this, you will be stunned.
Stunned by soup?
You can't eat this soup standing up, your knees buckle.
Huh?
There's only one caveat. The guy who runs the place is a little temperamental, especially about the ordering procedure. He's secretly referred to as the soup Nazi.
Why? What happens if you don't order right?
He yells and you don't get your soup.
What?
Just follow the ordering procedure and you will be fine.
All right. Let's go over that again.
All right. As you walk in the place, move immediately to your right. The main thing is to keep the line moving.
All right, so you hold out your money, speak your soup in a loud, clear voice, step to the left and receive. So
Right. But it's very important not to embellish on your order. No extraneous comments. No questions. No compliments.
Oh boy, I'm really scared.
Elaine.
All right, in the second clip, George and Jerry start ordering. George complains, he blows it, and he gets banned.
medium turkey chili.
Medium crab bisque.
I didn't get any bread.
Just forget it. Let it go.
Excuse me, I think you forgot my bread.
Bread, $2 extra.
$2, but everyone in front of me got free bread.
You want bread?
Yes, please.
$3. What? No soup for you.
Here's another piece of that story. George tries to get later, see what happens, but then Elaine tries, does not listen and offends. See what happens.
One large crab bisque to go. Red. Beautiful.
You're pushing your luck, little man.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there. One mulligatawny and, what is that right there? Is that lima bean?
Yes.
Never been a big fan. You know what? Has anyone ever told you look exactly like Al Pacino? You know, Scent of a Woman? Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Very good. Very good. You know something? No soup for you! Come back. 1 year.
All right, final clip. Jerry's with his girlfriend. They get caught kissing. Soup Nazi's not happy. And Jerry has to decide between getting soup and staying with his girlfriend.
Sister, you're on deck. Sheila.
Hey!
Uh-oh.
What is this? You're kissing in my line? Nobody kisses in my line.
I can kiss anywhere I want to.
You just cost yourself a soup.
How dare you? Come on, Jerry, we're leaving. Jerry?
Do I know you?
Jerry chose the soup over his girlfriend. Elaine tried to get away with it, and it didn't work. So let's get into that offensive selling, the Soup Nazi style. This is Pete from New Jersey. He says he's too nice. Pete, be nice. I mean, you can use these. They do work. We've seen them work. They work in the show. Obviously, it's a show. It's a comedy. And I'll put the link of the actual YouTube video there with the other links. So how can we use this Seinfeld example, the Soup Nazi, to increase sales? Especially these tech companies, they have no customer service. People are so loyal. They're willing to wait in line. You can't offend the person, they're going to kick you out. You have to keep their rules. The owner's always right. They get away with it. We see this with some artists and some actors. They don't care. You either like it or get out. How can you get away with that? How can you strategically use this? And when you go to New York, you can actually visit the Soup Nazi. I don't know if it's still around, but I know my family has. He actually brought me a t-shirt with the Soup Nazi on it. And it's all based on an actual person named Ollie Al Yeganeh, who owned the soup restaurant, which was on West 55th in Midtown Manhattan, if you're familiar with New York City. And the crew of this show, Seinfeld, would love going to this soup restaurant. And they realized that this self-important chef who made this incredible soup required those visiting to follow the rules, to follow his orders, or they would get kicked out. So can you have strict rules? Can you offend people while you sell? It's possible. Again, don't always recommend it. It depends if you're considered the best, the only place they can go, there's no other options. Yeah, you can. That's why I mentioned artists, some actors. They know they're good. They know that people want to see them. They know that people don't have other options. That could be part of it. So if you notice in the Soup Nazi, and you can do this in sales, a sense of exclusivity. So the Soup Nazi had a reputation. Jerry said it made his knees buckle. And if it's the best, the only place you can get it, the reputation for going there is so off the charts, many prospects don't mind following strict rules, following the etiquette. So if there's a sense of exclusivity around your product, service, there's a buzz, people are talking about it, that the customers feel like they're part of some select group, sure. We see this with country clubs. Put you on a waiting list. Let's see if you qualify, right? They're going to FOMO in. They might have plenty of spots. Dance clubs do this too. There's plenty of room, but you have to wait in line, get selected to come in. So when you're established and people are talking about it and there's not a lot of places or your only place to go and people want to get in and maybe it's hard to get in, hard to get that soup, hard to get into the country club, hard to get into that dance club, that definitely could do it. You're cranking up that social validation to where people are validating it's worth it, it's okay, and they'll come back for more and more. Another one, you better make sure you've got the quality. You're top of the line. You're the best. You're the only one there. Kind of goes with being exclusive. See, the Soup Nazi was known for his uncompromising standards. He would die for a soup. He would sweat for a soup. Nothing was better than a soup, and everybody knew that. Everyone knew it was going to be top of the line, quality. There were standards here. This was the best of the best. And you can build a loyal customer base doing this when people know that. They're also hearing that word of mouth. So how can you emphasize any unique features or benefits of your product, your service, your idea that can set you apart from your competitors? Something you have that nobody else does. You're the best, the highest quality, best ingredients, whatever it is. Keep hitting that button. Because when you're consistent, it builds trust with customers. They talk, they know what to expect, they interact with your brand. So have a consistent brand image, And if you do blow it, they're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt sometimes. One of my favorite steak restaurants is Ruth Chris. My last experience wasn't very good. We talked about it on the show. I think they had to recook my sun steak 3 or 4 times, just didn't get it right. I'm willing to give them another shot. But then there's a fast food restaurant that was my favorite growing up, but I gave them a couple shots, and no, quality's bad, not going back. The other one here is the scarcity. There's a line. The line went out the door. This scarcity creates demand, just like the dance clubs. So when people knew that the Soup Nazi would run out of soup before the closing time, there was such a high demand, people didn't mind waiting in line, and they knew could run out. That's a great sense of scarcity, especially since the quality's there. I learned that in Hawaii. You don't get in short lines. You get in the long lines with the locals. You have to wait, but it's worth the wait. And I am not a waiter. Well, not a waiter at a restaurant or a waiter in line. Okay. So offer limited qualities, limited edition, run out early. That can trigger some offensive selling where no matter what you say, maybe you have a air of mystery or unavailability, or let's see if you have any left. Well, supply chain problem. Let's see the next time they're coming in. That builds desire for your offering. So don't be afraid to be offensive, to let people know that, no, I don't do business with everyone. I don't just coach anybody. I don't just select everybody. I don't just sell this to anybody. People don't mind being offended. In fact, there was, what was the name? It was a restaurant in Chicago. I don't know if it's still around, but it was a chain where the waiters and waitresses would offend you, curse at you, yell at you, call you stupid, and people loved it. They would go just for that. Okay, that was their reputation, and that's why I went. It was kind of fun. They were rude. They were mean. They did call me stupid, but it was all part of the act, part of the fun. So maybe you need to push a little harder, see if people qualify, because when people feel that you'll sell to anybody, that they're just another number, it's hard to build up that buying desire. So with that buying desire, can you create a memorable experience? Something unique like the offending restaurant in Chicago? Is there some unique personality trait? Strict rules for a memorable experience? How can you make your customers' interactions with your business unique, unforgettable? They start talking about it. So how can you create that memorable experience to get people talking about it? The good and the bad. Can you leverage that word-of-mouth experience by encouraging satisfied customers to share their experience with others? The good, even the bad? Is a fun company culture? A crazy marketing campaign? Think about Super Bowl ads. What are people talking about? Unconventional packaging? How can you let your personality shine through? Is all part of doing. Get people talking about it. The more they talk about it, the more they'll deal with your offensiveness. And with all this, know your audience, know your prospect, know who you're talking to. The Soup Nazi knew his customers, what they wanted. His customers knew it was the best. The Soup Nazi knew the target audience's needs. Deep down, I'm thinking he knew just how hard to push. Some people respect you for standing your ground, for maybe being a little offensive. I'm not saying these are your best tools, but there might be something here you can add. One we've talked about here on the podcast before was a Hawaiian restaurant near me locally. It was open from 11 to 2. That door was shut at 2. Didn't matter if there's food left. It didn't matter if there's a line. It was shut. They were done. And people scrambled to get in there. I remember a Chinese place in Pennsylvania. Yeah, they couldn't care about anybody. You gave them the money. They wouldn't smile at you. You said the number. They just had a little microphone to shout to the kitchen. The container didn't look good. The place wasn't that clean. But man, I just some of the best food. When I go back there. They were mean. They didn't care about you. You knew they didn't care, but hey, it was so good. And everyone always talked about that place. That's the same as the Soup Nazi. So key here is to find the right balance. Know your prospect. Make sure that your sales and persuasion techniques align with your brand, with you, your values, so you can resonate with the target customers. It's not for everybody, but there's a few things here you could probably add to increase that urgency, that scarcity, that word of mouth, to get people talking so you have a greater buying desire to do business with you. So there you have it. Sell like the Soup Nazi. Add a few of those offensive, selling, persuasive techniques. Thanks for being here. Please give me your feedback at kurt@maximizeyourinfluence.com. Anything you want to hear, send me an email. Put it on the show. Get the free gold version of influenceuniversity.com. And we're going to continue with that special, getting a lot of feedback. Influence University There's some free areas, but there's also the gold, a couple other versions. Let's talk about this gold version. I mean, InfluenceUniversity.com is pretty much everything I've done. There's audios, there's videos. You can download full training seminars all right there. It's usually a monthly membership, but wait, there's more. I always love saying that. Instead of paying monthly or annually, $97 for a lifetime membership. Check out the link in your email or at podcast504 at maximizeyourinfluence.com. Then you'll be part of the inner circle. You have more access to me. You get the tools, techniques to become a better influencer, which you know is going to impact every aspect of your life. Check it out. Thanks for being here. Become a little more offensive. Increase your sales skills. Become more influential. Become a better leader. Set those anchors in negotiation and go out and persuade with power.